Here we are again. I've been sitting and making this video since probably last summer, when all that circulation happened regarding hate, bullying, misogyny, etc. in the Godzilla fandom. And one of the things that people often said to me, well, if there's hate happening, why aren't you providing receipts? Well, one, it's very problematic to even say that to somebody, especially if they are recipients of the hate. But I am going to show receipts today because I keep literally everything. I keep everything. If I see homophobic behavior, if I see transphobic behavior, I keep screenshots of everything. And I just want to say, I want to preface by saying, if you are LGBTQ+, some of the things you might see in these comments may be very difficult to read. So I will totally understand if you are unable to watch this all the way through. I just wanted to put that out there as a just as a fair warning about that. But just to kind of preface here, over the past few weeks since 2025 started, I've been dealing with an increase of homophobia from other Godzilla fans, just a lot of homophobic behavior, slurs thrown at me, etc. And either, like, I've kind of in my mind been like, well, it's 2025, it's the current state of the world, right? Hate's being allowed to flourish, but I also think it's has a lot to do with the fact that growing up with Godzilla has been circulating. It's grown quite a bit. And I've been talking about this on my Growing Up with Godzilla Instagram page, notably. But so the other day, one of my posts gained some circulation, and somebody responded to me with this comment. And by the way, the receipts I'm sharing today, I'm not going to be bolding out names or anything like that, because if somebody's going to post something publicly, as far as I'm concerned, it's out there. But this person was like, oh, great, I found the gay side of the Godzilla community. We don't like y'all, so get out. And in that very moment, like when I saw that comment, I made a video response to it on Instagram. And I was trying to make a joke out of it. But really, that behavior is not acceptable. It's just the latest example of people trying to gatekeep LGBTQ plus people out of the fandom. And the truth is, we're here, and we've always been here, and we always will be, and we're not going anywhere. And mind you, like, I've had a number of people checking in on me. So many people stood up for me with that comment and other comments I've received recently, and I really appreciate that. I'm great. I eat trolls for lunch, let's just say, metaphorically speaking. And this is not my first rodeo. I've been dealing with very problematic comments since the forum days, since like 2003. I cannot even begin to count for you the amount of times I've had homophobic slurs thrown at me. I cannot begin to tell you how many times I've had people tell me that I should unalive myself, or that I should have followed through with unaliving myself when I was a teenager because someone got a hold of my journal or something and found that I had written about that. Online journals can be dicey, let's just say. And over the years, like, I feel like I've developed my voice enough where I'm able to call out these people. And now that I have a platform, I just think it's time to continue that conversation. I know some people get very uncomfortable having this conversation, and I know that it may not be palatable to address the fact that there is some hate in the fandom. But imagine what it's like from the perspective of those who are the recipients of that hate, right? We are all in this fandom to have a damn good time. We're here to enjoy the films, the characters, to celebrate our stories. That's why I even created Growing Up with Godzilla, to celebrate our stories, to show people that regardless of who we are, regardless of our identity, we've connected with Godzilla on so many different wavelengths, okay? And just because we may not want to address the fact that there are some unsavory voices in the fandom doesn't mean that we shouldn't be holding those people accountable. Like, we need to be holding those people accountable. So over the years, like, I've received a number of very concerning comments from people. Back, I think this was a few years ago, I had this person, Alex Francis Valdez, threaten threaten my well-being, let's just say. Um, and it was very strange. It was a very strange conversation. Again, though, not the first time I've been threatened. There was a year I didn't go to G-Fest because of threats like this, but I'm at the point where I'm like, no, I'm not going to let somebody's threats dissuade me from enjoying what I do or enjoying a convention. But I think it's important to inform other people in the fandom that this type of rhetoric exists, and to just exercise our mindfulness with the spaces we inhabit, especially if we are in a space that allows that type of rhetoric to flourish. Um, Other comment, like I've received YouTube comments like this. Well, I'm mostly looking at the top ones from Kong King. Just like these small, ridiculous comments that, I mean, these don't faze me, but I think about the young LGBTQ plus person who may be new to the fandom. Maybe they are not out yet, like I was, and at one point in time, and maybe the Godzilla fandom was their only escape. And what damage would it cause for them to have their only escape compromised like that, with comments of that nature, right? And of course, that doesn't even, take into consideration the many comments that many of us in the LGBTQ plus community receive with regard to um, equating us to being, like just to preying on people, preying on children, right? It's an age-old discriminatory tactic to equate people in the LGBTQ plus community to those who would hurt children. And I don't think that's acceptable at all whatsoever. And I know sometimes sharing some of these receipts is probably going to ruffle some feathers. I totally get that. And people can have their opinions. But I think for those of us with a platform, I think that we should try our best to address things like this that happen, try to hold people accountable. And because at the end of the day, we want to sustain the fact that the majority of Godzilla fans are actually phenomenal people. And the fact that we are in a space where we can take anything away from Godzilla. Like any person, any community can take something enriching away from Godzilla. And that's what makes the character and franchise so powerful. What frustrates me in various communities, hate is allowed to flourish because in some of those communities, the hate happens. And then there's always this blockade of people that insulate that hate so it's allowed to continue. And I don't think that's acceptable. I understand that not everybody maybe may feel safe or comfortable in taking an active role in calling people out or saying something about it. And that's fair. Like heaven knows I'm not always in the headspace, nor do I always have the bandwidth to do so. But I think when we're able to, it's important to do so. P.S. Being that I have shared these comments, I don't want anyone to go to these people. I don't want them to harass them, bully them, or anything like that. I am showing these comments to showcase what I have dealt with as a Godzilla fan, and I know other people have dealt with this as Godzilla fans. People in the trans community notably experience this as a Godzilla fan. People in BIPOC communities experience their own forms of discrimination in the Godzilla fandom. Women, we've had whole conversations about the misogyny and sexism women have faced this past year. And this is just the layer with regard to being LGBTQ+. Okay? But again, I'm going to reiterate, this is just some people in the Godzilla fandom. I have to say personally, at least from my own experience, things have improved quite a bit. But I really think that as LGBTQ+ people and allies, we need to acknowledge that 2025 in the next 4 years, hate is going to be insulated and allowed to flourish because of the political climate, the fact that people are being emboldened and allowed to be hateful. And I think that's something that we need to keep in the back of our minds. Okay. If you are looking for solutions for how to make the Godzilla fandom a better place, I've made whole videos about that. I do think this accountability is important when it comes to showcasing these receipts. Again, that's been one of the main criticisms I've received is you're not showing receipts, Donny. Well, there you go. You got some receipts. That's just a few of dozens, hundreds that I have. But just be mindful, okay? Keep each other safe. Look out for problematic people. If you see somebody saying something problematic, do your best to hold them accountable if you were in the right space to do so. All right? Because it might be if you're an ally, it might be unpleasant to do that right off the bat, but you may not know who in the LGBTQ plus community may be seeing you taking that active role and being like, hey, this behavior is not cool. Okay. That really goes a long way. And I often wished back in 2003, but 2003 to whenever I would have had that. And I'm grateful that I have valued allies in my life now who do stand up for me when there are things like that that happen. I'm at the point in my life where I can stand up for myself. I don't always have the expectation of people, doing that work for me, but it's always nice when that does happen. Okay. Anyway, share your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Click like. Feel free to share this if you think that it has a meaningful message for others. At the end of the day, I think that we all have, a part to play in making sure that the Godzilla fandom stays a great place and continues to flourish, and continues to make sure that everyone, especially those in underrepresented communities, have a seat at the table. Because whether you're aware of it or not, we all take something away from Godzilla, being that we've all grown up with him, right? Anyway, thank you for listening, and keep standing tall, my friends. Bye.